Hello, everyone. Thank you for your amazing introduction. So it's my pleasure to be invited here tonight to present my work and how went through the years to more and more opportunities. So I'm Tina Touli. I'm a graphic communication designer. I specialize in branding, packaging design, and editorial design, but that doesn't stop me from exploring even more areas like web design, where I love programming, bookbinding, illustrations, and other. I grew up with art. I was always keen in all form of arts, from playing music, drawing, creating, dancing, and others. So when I graduated from school, I decided to do the BA Graphic Design at the EU of Athens, where I had the great opportunity to experiment with different mediums like 3D, animation, comics, where I finally fell upon graphic design. Already from the first years of my study, I had the honor to be awarded with 3 scholarships and awards from Greek State Scholarships Foundation. I had also the amazing opportunity to work next to a really good graphic designer called Nikos Panagiotopoulos, where he was working for big brands like Macmillan, Longman, and Diesel. That was the part that I learned most of my skills, and I learned how to deal with the actual working world. So it was a time that I started also freelancing, and I also started working at ELO's branding, where I had the great opportunity to develop different projects from branding to packaging design. One of them was the value breakfast components project, where a series of packaging have been developed and awarded from European Packaging Design Association with 1 silver and 2 bronze awards. I wanted always to explore more things, to try new things, so I decided to come in UK and discover some new ideas, new cultures. So I decided to come in Central St. Martin's and do the MA Communication Design. I had great opportunities in this university, as well as I learned a lot. The most important thing that I learned is always to ask, what are you doing, why you are doing that, who is it for, and similar questions. This is going to help you to develop a strong project where it's going to probably also function well in the end. So I had the honor to take part in different competitions like Hewlett-Packard competition, where me and my group won the 2nd award by designing an interactive poster. I took part also in the L'Oréal Professional Paris competition, where the brief was to create a bag, a box, and some components that they're going to be distributed in the hair salons in United Kingdom at Christmas period. At this point, I was thinking, what am I going to create? So I was making a research through their fashion identity and the way that they are treating the hair. So I came up with the hair care story, where illustrations were expanding throughout the different components, showing the treatment of the hair. With this project, I had the honor to be awarded with the 1st prize by L'Oréal Professional Paris. Another project that I would like to talk about is the Unknown Quantities Journal, where I had the great opportunity to collaborate with some amazing graphic designers and developing a journal where the goal was to reflect the notion of the object, which was actually the subject of the journal itself. So at the same time, I decided that, okay, studying is good, it helps, but I still want to work and see how is graphic design in the reality in UK. So I decided to do a an internship at CHK Design for a month and continue working part-time there. And so I had the opportunity to deal with different projects. One of them that I would like to mention is called Focus, which is a company that they're analyzing data information in order to help develop your own business. At that time, I was looking at different visualization where my art director came to me with this great book called Generative Design. And I was really impressed by the graphics that they were inside there when I realized that it's not just showing you graphics, but it's actually a book that teaches you how to use programming and processing in order to develop some graphics. I knew a bit of both programming and processing, so I decided to start experimenting. And I came up with a visualization of my hard drive that I found it quite interesting, but it still wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I continued developing the idea and making different visualization when I finally came up with something that I thought it was interesting. So I minimalized it, I made it into something more corporate, and created the logo for Focus. In the same way, I used the graphics throughout the whole identity, from business cards to letterhead and the website of the company. I always like to do more things and try new things. So I decided to start taking part in different exhibitions across London, Greece, and China. And also I started taking part in different presentations, like in Greek Graphic Designer Association, or in Sanhu Project Be Our Guest in China. I continue taking part in different awards. One of them that I would like to mention is the EVIE, which is the biggest Greek graphic designers awards, where I had the honor to be awarded with the third award for new graphic designers under 25. And another project that I was really happy to be awarded with the first prize was a typographical project in the last Creative Jam. So I didn't really have a big experience in terms of interviews. I was always quite lucky in getting the job that I wanted. But one question that they asked me, and I found it really interesting, was how you're going to deal with a client that he actually wants you to do something that you're disagreeing with in terms of design. So I was like, okay, actually, I'm not going to try to convince him. I'm not going to talk to him to convince him that what he's thinking is wrong. I'm just going to do what I believe that's correct for me, and I'm going to follow also his idea. And then through my presentation, through my communication skills, I'm going to manage to get the client where I want. So it's really important always to know how to communicate your work. So currently, I'm working at Modus, where I had the great opportunity to collaborate with a lot of interior designers. One of the projects that I worked on was Octagon Point St. Paul's, which is a building in St. Paul's, and I had the opportunity to develop the identity. But also, the most interesting part, it was first time I had to deal with a different scale. And not only that, I had to deal with what kind of materials are we going to use, how it's going to look like, how we are going to produce it. So I designed the sign in the reception as well as graphics throughout the building. A more recent project was the Red Brick Road. The Red Brick Road is a creative studio based in the city of Westminster. And they actually really love their offices, they really love the studio. But since the company were growing, they needed to move in a different building. So they need to move in the city of London, but they wanted to take as much as possible the style and everything that they had in the previous office. So I was looking for inspiration when I went to the desk of the interior designer, and I looked through all this nice samples that she had there. And I decided to take them and scan them, edit them, to create the covers of the books that I needed to make. So the project was consisted from 6 books. Each of them was a different chapter, the design, the case studies, and others. And each of them was treated differently in order to meet the needs of the contents. The booklets had been placed inside a box where, while it was closed, you could see the old address, and while opening it, you had to rip the old address and reveal the new one. This project seemed to be really smooth and everything easy, but the truth is, like 3 days before the deadline, the designer came to me and told me, you know what, actually, we won't manage to get the deadline because I can't have everything ready to send it to print, to buy them. So I was like, okay, I really like this project. Actually, it's one of my favorite ones, and I don't want to give up on that. So I ended up binding 40 books by hand, making the boxes, but I actually enjoy it, and the client was actually really happy as well. Another morning, the head of design came to me and she told me, you know what, I need actually really quickly some patterns, like in an hour. So I sit it down. I thought it was a really challenging project in terms of time. So I sit it down and I managed to get 49 patterns in the 45 minutes. So I really like challenging myself. I really like exploring different things. So I can never say no to a client that comes to me for freelancing work or a different project. So I'm also freelancing, and I'm doing different things from branding, like the Greek mini market shop, and the LCC BA photography catalog that was a collaboration project with Nicole Montesanti. And I'm continuing working in packaging design. That's one of my favorite fields, where I developed the sesame and granola bars for some Greek traditional products. So I'm also, like, on my free time, I like to explore different things that I don't have the chance because either from the time or budget. So I like exploring, like, programming, bookbinding, illustration, whatever comes to me. So currently I'm working in developing different phones as well as programming and screen printing. So it's really important to create, but also share your work, because otherwise you won't get the feedback, you won't help yourself get better, you won't get new opportunities. So how am I usually working? I really like having my own collection of inspiration where I categorize them into different fields, logotypes, branding. So I can always go back to them and see what I liked. Another place that I really like is the library. I love design books, and not only. I'm usually buying also books just because I like the design of them. I never read them, but I just like them. So it was my honor, actually, a month ago to get published on my first graphic design book called Packaging Design Structures, with 2 of my packagings. The supermarket. The supermarket is a place that normally people are going to buy their food, cook, but actually I'm not really keen in food, I'm not really interested in cooking. I love going to the supermarket because it's a great inspiration, especially if you're designing packaging. You can always find different, really badly designed, really good designed, and get inspired. And my friends is my biggest inspiration. They're always there, so you can always refer to them and ask them, like, how you've done that, how you've done the other thing, and they're always going to be so open to you, to show you, and also collaborate with you in developing even better projects. So the project that I chose to expand a bit more tonight it has to do with music. I studied in a music secondary and high school, gaining a lot of experience in playing different musical instruments and in theoretical level of music. So in my BA thesis, I made a research about the relationship between visual communication and music in terms of typography, shape, and color. So in my MA communication design thesis, I decided that I want to expand this research into something more practical. So I decided to research how do deaf people experience music. So the project is called Deaf Sharp, and it's a journey into music and deafness. Music is vibration. Thank you very much for being here tonight.